How many? A lot of time work is what percentage, sir? 30, 20 to 30%. Okay, round of applause to him. Please put those hands up, kindly. Put a finger down if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the amount of scientific research on sustainable agriculture. Extremely overwhelming. We're going to try and break that down today. Put a finger down if you can name at least one microbe that plays a role in the cycling of nutrients in our soil. No, you're part of the program. You? Did you? Did you put a finger down? Don't be shy now. No. All of a sudden, when the microphone comes, everyone's. Okay, please, a warm round of applause for yourselves. Someone said, I tell you what those microbes are. Okay, yeah? There's a panel of judges here. Rhizobium for nitrogen fixation. Mycorrhizae. Phosphorus uptake. That's it. Let's stop there. It's like when someone asks you to speak French and you say bonjour, and then they continue. Okay. My name is George Ndirango. Over the next 2 hours, we're here from 4 till 6 p.m. sharp. Over the next 2 hours, we'll try to unpack some bit of thinking on what sustainable farming looks like. We have the launch of something extremely exciting. I'll give you some bit of context after, but the people that speak before we get to that will also pile in on some of the opening remarks. And then we'll get to have 2 separate discussions, very topical, a panel discussion, short panel discussions, just under half an hour, to also unpack the topics a bit more. And we, of course, have our brilliant minds who are here to take us through that. I'd like to please just take a moment to recognize a few people in the room. We have Sushil Acharya, who's a Joint Secretary at the Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation in Nepal. If you're here, please just wave. Yes, round of applause to him there. We also have some of our dignitaries in the room. Mahane Luafi, Executive Managing Director, CGIAR. Is Sandra here? Sandra Milachi? Is Sandra here? Oh, Sandra's coming. So Sandra is a Chief Scientist at CGIAR. Of course, the rest of the people that you can also see here will come to you and give you as much of our ear as possible. Now, the truth of the matter for today, we have a monumental challenge. I'm in the field of storytelling, so we always like to have a lot of analogies. What we're doing now is we have this population that's growing. We have a planet that's playing a tug of war with climate change, but the ropes within which we are playing that tug of war is a thin rope of soil. Make sense? It will. It will make sense just a bit later. But the good news is we're not alone in this fight. We're seated in a room in Nairobi. There's a lot of people having similar discussions to different extents and within different layers across the world. So we ideally would love for collective action on what you're going to discuss in regards to sustainable farming. We want to jump straight into the program. To kick us off, please give a nice Nairobi welcome to Oscar Ortiz, the Interim Director, SFP, who will welcome the guests and invite our first speaker of the day. And then Oscar will be back later on in the program. Thanks, Oscar.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. As you can see, Sustainable Farming is the program where you can have fun while delivering great science and practical solutions. So allow me to introduce our Executive Managing Director, Mahane Luafi, who will be providing opening remarks to our session today. Please, Ismahan.
Thank you so much, Oscar, and I like the competition. It's really nice that we start with a violin, and it's nice also for me that I recognize both Rhizobium and mycorrhiza. So I'm a good student. I still remember my microbiology and chemistry and microbiology classes particularly. So thank you very much, Oscar. The Sustainable Farming Program is a groundbreaking effort to tackle some of the biggest challenges in farming, like climate change, low productivity, and damaged soils, all together in one. It uses the latest science. It's going to use big data and AI to create farming solutions that are tailored to local needs. The program aims to engage at least 5 million farmers, positively impacting more than 2 million hectares of land, with a special focus on empowering small and medium-scale farmers, particularly women and youth. This program is part of the CGIAR Portfolio 2530 and focuses on improving how farms are managed. The goal is to create innovation that, together with other CGIAR programs, help farmers in low and low middle income countries make agriculture more sustainable, economically, environmentally, and socially. It also supports the CGIAR 2030 goals and impact areas, the 5 impact areas that I hope you know of by now. These integrated farming innovations are designed to boost productivity and profits, use resources like water, fertilizers, and labor much more efficiently than we are doing right now, and improve soil and plant health, and help farmers both adapt and fight climate change. So adaptation with co-benefits on mitigation. The program tackles key issues like soil health, pests and diseases, water use, and mechanization, all brought together into full farm solutions that help crops grow better and make farms more resilient to climate shocks. It uses advanced tools like shared data systems, digital technologies, and AI, and works to build strong partnership and generate evidence to support better policy. One of the program goals is also to strengthen systems thinking in CGIAR and its partners. So everything has to be system level, bringing all the knowledge together. The program brings together 12 CGIAR centers, and that's, I think, the largest number we have in any science program. So this science program brings 12 CGIAR centers and many partners, focusing on key crops and farming systems, again, in low and low middle income regions, including East and Southern Africa, West and Central Africa, South and Southeast Asia, North Africa, and Latin America. This is a truly collaborative effort. The program works with national research and extension systems, top research institute, private sector, NGOs, government, universities, and also farmer groups. So together, they co-develop and test new farming solutions. These partnerships have turned science into practical tools and advice for farmers, and could eventually become self-sustaining platforms. With that, I'm really looking forward to hear from our panelists, dive into the conversation, hear really what are the exciting news in the program. And I'm really, my standards is up here with such a wonderful start of the whole session. Thank you very much.
We'll do our best to maintain that standard exactly where it is. Now, we'd like to all direct our attention to the screen. At this particular point, we'll play a video on the significance and impact of sustainable farming practices. And then, of course, we'll come back to the table here to hear from Oscar. Please cue video. We could take some time to get the video. Maybe in the meantime, Oscar, you could go. And then we'll jump into the video right after. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. I'm going to provide a brief description of the Sustainable Farming Science Program on behalf of the team that involves 12 centers and all multiple farmers. So sustainable farming focuses on farm management. Farm management. The farms are the level of the system where farm families make their decisions to get their food, their income, and other benefits, but also some externalities that we need to avoid or reduce. Okay. Which challenges are we addressing? A growing population that will need to be fed in the future, and projections indicate that we need to produce up to 60% more food in the next couple of decades. But also, climate change is reducing the agricultural productivity growth, and that's something that needs to be addressed as well as at farm level. And of course, as I was mentioned initially, agriculture contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, particularly in the crops that we include in our program. So we need to reduce that contribution. And we also need, as indicated, that our solutions contribute to reduce the inequalities, particularly gender and youth and vulnerable populations. Our program will address these challenges by developing farming innovations to deliver equitable agronomic gains at scale. Agronomic gains conceptualized, as you can see there, improve productivity and profitability, increase resource use efficiencies. Something is happening with the improve soil health and plant health, as well as mitigation and adaptation to climate change. All of that with an inclusive and gender responsive approach. Okay, so these are our targets. We want to reach 5 million households, improve the management of 2 million hectares in a more sustainable way, reduce 15% of greenhouse gas emissions. But these calculations are only including what the funding that we call window 1 and 2, or the funding that comes through the CGIAR system. But if we include the resources that the 12 centers are bringing to the table, those figures can increase significantly. And that's very important as well. We want to have at least 50 public and private partnerships scaling the solutions by 2030. This map shows very briefly what already Ismahane indicated, the areas, the priority areas of work that will be in the regions where the CGIAR is present, particularly East and Central Africa, West Africa, North Africa, South and Southeast Asia, and Latin America. That gives you an idea of the focus of the program, geographically speaking. Our program is organized in areas of work. At the moment, these are disciplinary areas, which are the foundations for innovative farm management solutions. And we have one of them addressing climate adaptation and mitigation on farms. And the idea is that we will deliver practical solutions for farm management to be climate smarter and support farmers' decisions to face the climate that is changing, temperatures increasing, more droughts, or unpredictable weather conditions. Another area specifically addresses precision soil nutrient management. We know that in many parts of the world, farmers are not yet using sufficiently resources such as nutrients, or are using inefficiently. So this area of work will deliver decision support tools and frameworks to support decision-making for targeted recommendations in about 15 main crops, including some perennials. But fertilizer management is just one part of soil management. We want to see soil management in its integral way, looking at resilient soils, at soil health, so that soil can play really a role in terms of the sustainable management of the farm. It's not just fertility, it's hydrological functions, control of soil-borne diseases and pests, increasing carbon sequestration, etc. Another key area of work is related to plant health and mycotoxin-safe crops. We know the millions of dollars, billions in reality, of losses caused by pests and diseases around the world, particularly for small-scale farmers in low and middle-income countries. So this particular area will be strengthening plant health systems through enhanced diagnostics and surveillance to counteract these pests and diseases. So we will be using these frontier technologies for predicting the movement and the dynamics of those pests and diseases, and also using that for effective preparedness and integrated management. Farm management requires water management, and water is becoming a very scarce resource in many parts of the world. So this area of work, we will be looking at solutions to enhance integrated water management, innovative solutions that respond to the farmer needs, to the context, and provide options for facing water scarcity in some parts of the world, but also addressing the unsustainable use of water resources in other parts of the world. Mechanization, it's extremely important. We know that labor is getting scarce in rural areas because of a number of reasons. So suitable mechanization can come and play a role in improving labor productivity, labor shortages, reduce drudgery, improve resource use efficiency, and particularly opening transformative opportunities for youth and rural employment through services. I think machineries can work if around the machineries there are services as a business, so that can be sustainable. All of those elements from soil management, water management, pest management, machinery need to be integrated. So the program is the home of system integration at farm level through co-creation. And this area of work will be looking at system sciences and co-creation methods to be able to integrate bundles of solutions that are contextualized, respond to the farmer needs at local level, but also generate principles, models, and methods that can be replicated in some other parts of the world. There is a particular aspect in our program. This is an area of work called program agility and efficiency, because all the previous areas of work require some common approaches. For example, harmonized data management, data sciences, and digital tools, but also prioritization approaches. How do we prioritize? Where are we going to work? How do we monitor, evaluate, learn, and assess the impact of the work of integrated farm management, but also looking at partnerships and capacity strengthening and providing evidence for policy in a more integrated way. So those are the 8 areas of work that exist in our program at the moment, and those will be implemented using an approach that includes a few principles. The first principle is that we will co-develop and co-create solutions working through partnership platforms. Those partnership platforms will include farmers, of course, because they will have to express their demands, their constraints, and the opportunities, but also national agricultural research systems and extension systems, private sector, advanced research organizations from the North and the South, and also development-oriented organizations, NGOs, and financial organizations as well. Another key aspect is that we need to keep evolving. So we have at the moment a setup of disciplinary areas of work, but we would like to evolve into being more delivery-oriented, more mission-oriented around, for example, providing science-based evidence for advisory services or for predictive predictive modeling and decision support systems that advise the partners to be prepared for what could be coming. So we are in the process of rethinking, since this is a transition year, of how we could be more efficient in our work from 26 to 2030. Now, another element to highlight is that this program builds on strong CGIAR expertise, 12 centers, that was mentioned by Ismahani, bringing their comparative advantages, their pool of experts, but also the infrastructure that could be research stations, not only by the centers themselves, but together with partners. There is a big network of infrastructure that we will mobilize to deliver the objectives. And almost more than 50 years of experience in developing solutions, responding to global challenges, but also translating them to local conditions. This is a key principle that I would like to highlight. And this morning I was in the gender panel because it's critical. And from the design, we have included a gender working group in the writing team, and we are keeping that gender working group active to help us evolve our thinking on how we can be more gender and youth responsive in all the solutions that we develop. This is kind of one of our key indicators for monitoring and evaluation. And of course, we will have to work with other programs. If we have this system thinking, system practice, we need to work with multifunctional landscapes, with policy innovations, with breeding for tomorrow, with climate action, scaling for impact, and of course, the accelerators. The accelerators are bringing the tools that we need to really move faster. That's why they are called accelerators. This morning, I asked the gender community, how do we accelerate the change? We don't have the time that we used to have 20 years ago. So join us in supporting smallholder farmers and other stakeholders in low and middle income countries in making informed decisions for transitioning to more sustainable farm management. And this is the drawing of my daughter, Tamara. If you are online, this is your drawing. And I present this because this drawing depicts very well the different elements of sustainable farming: soil, water, plants, mixed farming systems, machinery, etc. So promise fulfilled, Tamara. By the way, Tamara is a bioengineer doing a master's on bioinformatics, so my contribution to women in science is done. Please take a minute of scanning. We have developed a one-pager of a summary of what the program is, what I just explained to you. So take a picture of that. You can download that page or reach us, please. There is an email of the program. You can reach us for questions, comments, suggestions, and offers to do a job in partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just a question, Oscar. That was Oscar Ortiz, Interim Director at the Sustainable Farming Program, just giving us a bit of an overview. Just a question on the painting. Is that trademarked? Or can we? Okay, in case anyone. Now, we can see all of you who are joining online, and we really appreciate the feedback so far, so we definitely have you in mind. Can you please put up the Mentimeter for all of you who are in the room, and you're wondering, how do I get my submission in as the session continues? This is the platform where you can submit all of your thoughts. Just give it 1 second. We'll get to see that on the screen. And you remember we talked about a video. Towards the tail end of this session, we have something exciting for you. So we should be able to see that video visually recording how we do these sustainable practices on ground. Coming up next, we have a bit of scene setting. We mentioned we have the panel discussions, but before that, we'll just get a bit of scene settings. Bernard, just get ready to join us on stage. We're seeing everything as you. The slide should be right next. No surprises, eh? Please cover your eyes. Slide number 29.
31.
31 or 29?
Down. Stop.
So as you speak, Bernard, please just stay with me. Slide number 29. Just one up. One more. There. So please, if you could just scan that one. For the people with Android, you can wait for the other people to send you the link. Okay, so you can access that? Okay. Bernard will just do a bit of scene setting and then we'll get into our conversations. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I was asked to set the scene for the two panel discussions that are coming our way. Before doing so, I'm going to go a little bit back in time with your permission. I have made a few slides. I can tell the story without slides, but it's nicer if I could see them. So the story, if I can say story, or maybe I should call it an adventure, it really started in 2019. Until that time, there had been no CGIAR-wide initiative on agronomy and soils and systems. The last one that stopped was the soil water nutrient management, which stopped 20 years ago. So through discussions with colleagues and funders, we were talking maybe there is a role for a global program on agronomy. We wrote to the then management of the CGIAR, and the first feedback we got is, but agronomy, that's a service to breeding. Why do we need a program on agronomy? That was the first response we got. Now, of course, we were able to change that, and now we actually do have a program. We came together in 2019, as I said, we started in 2019, and we wanted to find out, is there appetite for such a program, but starting from the agronomists, not from the leadership. And there was a lot of appetite. We saw, for instance, that 3 centers, independent of each other, were developing decision support systems for fertilizer, for rice, wheat, cassava, but not talking to each other. We saw that there was absolutely no exchange of data or coding, and all of us had the same problems in terms of how do you advance this, how do you integrate climate into decision. So we came together in April 2019. Some of us who were in the room were in that meeting. And as you can see from our plans, we had very clear ideas what we wanted to do with agronomy. We were also very lucky because we had support from the now called the Gates Foundation from day one in setting up this program. We were quite, privileged, I would say. Now, one thing, and Oscar already alluded to it, if we can move this thing one slide forward, I don't know where I should point. So Oscar already mentioned this, but I will repeat agronomic gain. When we started this program, we were talking about what is it that we are going to deliver. And we heard the breeders. I think I see a few breeders in the room here. Welcome. So we heard them talking about genetic gain. And we start asking, what is this and how do you measure? We said, let's say we are going to deliver agronomic gain. And then people ask you, but what is it? What do you mean? Yeah, first reaction was, well, we don't really know, but we will get you an answer. So after a few discussions, we said agronomic gain is those 4 things that you see in front of you and that Oscar has referred to. It's of course about yield and profitability, but it's not just about yield and profitability. It's not just about intensification. And just intensification is agriculture 3.0, as I learned recently. We are talking about agriculture 4.0, which also talks about soil health, the sustainability dimension of agronomy. It talks about climate adaptation. It talks about the resource use efficiency, making sure that whatever we do, the resources we use there are used well. So agronomic gain, we only deliver if we deliver those 4 dimensions in the same place at the same time. So that's our agenda. So we were happy we could explain what it meant. The next thing that happened was, I'm working in an institute where there are breeders and agronomists. And all the time we are in meetings talking about impact. I hear the breeders talking about we have 1 million hectares under cassava, 500,000 hectares under the cowpea varieties that we've been breeding. And me as an agronomist, I was watching my time, hoping that the meeting was finished before they would ask, what have you done as an agronomist in terms of impact? So we were always, accused is not the right term, but people were waiting to see where is our impact. And I'm sure a lot of people in this room recognize that. So we said, if we want to have a program on agronomy, we need to draft it in a way that it's driven by impact, not by research, not by what agronomists want, but by impact. I will come back to that immediately. We also said we have to work together. We have to set up a global agronomy initiative, organizing our R&D community at the CGIAR level, share, work together, learn, create efficiencies. And today I think the word efficiency is pretty welcome in a lot of our discussions, isn't it? If we can do things, if we can exchange. We also said it's absolutely critical to start working together on our data and our analytics. You can talk about artificial intelligence and all those new tools. If we don't have the data in a standardized and organized way, we will not make too much progress. We've also said we need to integrate the best technological advantages. The CGIAR is good in R&D, we are excellent, but we don't have the monopoly in new R&D. So there's a lot of organizations out there that we need to work with if we want to deliver our agronomic gain at scale. We need to measure that agronomic gain, which it should not just be a theoretical concept. We need to measure it in each of the stages that we are working on with partners in our research stations to be very conscious of whether we are making progress with delivering agronomic gain. And the 6th principle was we will take decisions on agile decisions on progress made, doesn't move anymore. So the 6th is we will have indicators, data, tools to take decisions here. In an agronomy world, I'm an agronomist myself, we often love to do certain things. And we love to do them for the next 10 to 20 years. But sometimes the things we are doing are not really what we should be doing. And I know myself, I'm guilty. We spent a lot of years working on a technology that has gone nowhere. And that's still not going nowhere today. So you have to at one time take a decision that probably you need to change direction. So these principles were decided, co-developed over time, and I think they are still very much applicable to the Sustainable Farming Program. Going back to the first point, demand-driven, and then I'm going to hand over to the panel. If you're the agronomists, we are sometimes a little bit like other disciplines, like economists, for instance. If you put 10 people together in a room and you need to say, what are we going to do now? You will never get agreement. It's just not possible. So when we started working, developing this program, we had discussions. Let's set up an agronomy at scale program, but what are we going to do? And you come up with 20, 30 different possibilities. Is it about intercropping, fertilizer, land preparation, tillage? What is it that we are going to do? We could not resolve that question. And since the program was set up for impact, we said, no, this is not the right question. The right question is, we know there are scaling partners out there. They are already investing multi-million dollars with hundreds of thousands of people. They are there. We know them. So let's talk to them and let's ask them, what is it that we should do for you in the agronomy space so you can do your work better? So that's what we've been doing. Now there's a few bullets there. So the result of this is use cases. And this is what you will see in a bit more detail very soon. So the way we define the use case, there are 6 very critical dimensions to that. You need to have a scaling partner that's active. Public, private, we work with companies, we work with governments, we work with World Bank investments. So a scaling that's active. That scaling initiative needs to work actively with several tens of thousands of households. So we are talking about scaling. Second. Third, in that network, there need to be the right service providers, the right bundles, as Oscar was saying. If you're talking about fertilizer and there's no agro dealers, you will talk for a long time without seeing impact. Fourth, we need a specific solution in terms of content and format. What is that product that we want to deliver so we can take decisions if we've achieved our goals? If we are not clear about the product, we'll keep on working. Fifth, co-creation. There has to be, as they say in English, a skin in the game for the scaling partners as well for us. And the sixth, whatever we do is for public use. We're not working with any partner that says you work for us, but it's our property. And no, it has to be public and ready for scaling with partners and environment. So we had a whole process on defining that, implementing it. Ultimately, we ended up with, this I will skip in the interest of time. Can you go to the next slide? So we ended up with, in total, 20 of those use cases. You can't read this, don't worry, the slides are probably available. So we ended up with 20 use cases. Now, each of those boxes has a scaling partner, has a clear description of a product, has a clear description of the farming system and the targets that we are aiming at. And today, I will now hand over probably to Job probably. So we are going to look at 2, if you can press one more time, we are going to look at 2 of those use cases in more detail here. We are going to look at Ethiopia, which is a use case that you will see explained very soon, and we will look at the use case in Egypt. These are just 2 illustrations of what we have been doing, following those principles of demand-driven partners first, and all the principles that I've been talking about. And I'm probably handing over now to Job, probably, or to Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Okay. How's the energy so far? No, not good enough. We're about to get into a conversation for about 20 minutes, so the energy has to be right. We're getting the feedback from Mentimeter. When you hear one bit of feedback, please just clap once. All right. One person said we need to have promotion of mixed farming and promotion of efficient field water application and farm water management. We need to access gendered or intersectional barriers related to sustainable farming solutions. We need to finance smallholder farmers very deliberately for sustainable farming. And in order to take care of the future of our soils, we need to now think about sustainable farming through regenerative agriculture. And regenerative agriculture is also different from precision agriculture, but the 2 are not mutually exclusive. There you go. That last one I added myself. Job. So we just had from Bernard Van Lauwe, who's the Interim Deputy Director General, Sustainable Farming Program, and DDG at IITA. For now, we have Job Kehara from CGIAR to take on the panel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And following on what Bernard Van Lauwe has just presented to us, the evolution of the use cases, and we are going to have some examples of those use cases. I'm very pleased that the topic that we are going to discuss now is very much aligned to what the CGIAR Managing Director has just told us. She told us that this program is about translating science into practical solutions. And the title of our session now is the same: transforming scientific evidence into decision support tools and following the nutrient application for soil management in Ethiopia as a case study. We will have a presentation with 2 colleagues from Ethiopia who have been running this use case. They are going to share with us their experience, the process they have followed, the application of the principles that Bernard has shown. And then we will go into some panel. The panel will consist of Professor Joan Allen from McGill University and UM6P. It will also include Zevan Subramaniam, who is at ISIPE. I think we can allow him to stay for now because the other guests are actually joining online. He will be the only person here. Then we will have Anneke Trux, who is the head of program of GIZ. She is trying to join as we talk. And then we will have Christian Witt, who is a senior program officer on soil health at the Gates Foundation. So I will invite the colleagues, Dr. Rusagate Amene and Gizao, to start with their presentation, following on what Bernard has just introduced. This is a use case on Ethiopia soil fertility model, on how they have developed decision support for nutrient management. Let's do some learnings from the colleagues. You have 7 minutes to talk about this case, and then we will go into the panel. Welcome.
Thank you, Job. Hello, everyone. Most of you may recognize me as multifunctional landscape person, but I can also be sustainable farming, so I am interdisciplinary. One of my jobs will be to advise the sustainable farming team that sketch is implying that you have to farm steep slopes. So from the sustainable multifunctional landscape perspective, maybe you have to readjust. So thank you. Sorry, I don't have time to the slide next, please. So in Africa in general, we have a lot of issues in relation to agriculture. We have degraded soil, fragmented farms, less mechanization, limited input use, and so on and so forth. Because of that, there is a huge yield gap. The same applies to Ethiopia, where we have done some analysis, and for most of the cereals, all the crops, there is a huge yield gap. So the research question with excellence in agronomy was, how do we address that yield gap? So there are 2 use cases, side by side, led by 2 centers and partners, which were very successful. And one very important success is, after we learned our lessons in parallel, lately we have harmonized them, and we have a very harmonized digital support system that addresses agricultural bottlenecks in Ethiopia. Next slide. So I will show you, next slide. So I want to present the 2 important components. Number 1 is data. To transform agriculture, we need data. To use artificial intelligence, in any case, we need data. So what we did in Ethiopia was to look for all the data that's available related to crop response to input use. So that data was, next slide. That data was made available through a team called Coalition of the Willing. We bring all the people in the country who are working on agronomy and soils to collect the data, to bring the data, and we followed a lot of processes to harmonize all the data sets. Next. So we have data gathered from different sources. We have a workflow developed to harmonize all the data, because the data were brought from all different sources, so using them at once was not a possibility. So I have to create a workflow that can automatically harmonize those. Next slide. And then once that harmonization was done, then we brought in expertise in a machine learning artificial intelligence to develop an integrated advisory system for fertilizer initially. So the idea was to optimize contextualized and site-specific fertilizer advisory system for 4 crops. That means that advisory can be applied for any plot so long as we know that location. So it was very, very detailed. The next one, we added other components because soil acidity was a problem. The degradation soil health was a problem. So we are now building on those steps to have a comprehensive advisory system that is contextualized for Ethiopia and is being scaled to other countries through the excellence in agronomy, and now we will do it through the sustainable farming. So we have done it in Ethiopia, it's being done in Kenya, it's being done in Malawi, and also in Ghana. Next slide. So this is the process. I don't need to go into the details. So we have developed the system now.
and we have harmonized it, and we have one advisory instead of two, which was also a requirement from the government, because two centers were going to tell, this is what I have, this is what I have. Then they said, well, you have two, but we need one. Then we created an expert, around 4 centers together to harmonize that. And now Gizao, because we don't have time, Gizao will present what did we get from those advisories and what is the platform to proceed that to the next level. Gizao.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, Lord Sagged. I think Lord Sagged has presented the efforts we made for the last 10 years to develop the data ecosystem and also co-develop the innovations. And that's through the partnership of the national partners. So from the 2 use cases so far that we experienced for the last 4 years, we have made some achievements on agronomic gains that Bernard mentioned. So we have some achievements in terms of yield gain and also nutrient efficiency, especially we are trying to reduce the nutrient use by 20% and use efficiency by increase use efficiency by 20%. And also we also have some economic gains, promising economic gains from the practice because of the optimization of the nutrient application. And of course, environmental benefit is also there because there is some lower intensity of emission because of the product per unit of produce. We are trying to manage the environmental benefit. Of course, not only agronomic gains and economic gains, but also we have promising adoption. Like more than 90,000 farmers are using that for the last 4 years. And we have a committee of practice on that, and also a lot of partnership. Around 7 partners are involved at different levels. So as Lord Sagged mentioned, we have received a lot of new demand from the national system after having these 2 use cases. We got a demand to harmonize, to have one integrated agro-advisory solution, so that we come up with a harmonized framework for fertilizer and agronomy solutions. And this framework has different modules that combine the different agronomic services. So this framework is used by different partners when they come up with their own digital solutions. That is the objective. So this harmonization, it has strong governance at national level. We have a national digital coordination platform chaired by the state minister and also the DDG of CGIAR. And we have also a technical team who manage the harmonization process and develop protocols for validation, for analytical work, and so on. This team is a very big team from the national system as well as from the CG system. So we are now capacitating the national team. At least we have 8 experts now at the national level who manage all these together with the CG scientists. They have they are, especially the experts, they are controlling the quality of the solutions. They have to check whether the recommendation is a validation. All those protocols are in order. So this is a harmonization framework. Of course, after the harmonization framework, we come up with a different name of different bundle of advisory solutions. We call it a localized agronomy and fertilizer advisory, which is LAFA. This is the name agreed by different partners for the last 6 months. We are really discussing on this. So this brings different advisory solutions together. So we have this bundle of solutions, which are data-driven and also real-time, of course, with some modeling. So we identify some thematic areas of digital solutions. The first phase, we have fertilizer, liming, and planting date. We have that digital solutions, but there are many wish lists from the national demand, from national partners. So we listed all the different thematic areas where we need additional and digital services. Next slide. So after this, having this harmonized framework and harmonized decision, agronomic advisory solutions, we also designed scaling pathways. I think for the last 4 years, especially, building on our experience and the evidence we have some experience in to design the scaling pathways. The first one is, I think, the public-led, especially in Ethiopia. We have a very extensive extension system targeting the extension agent and the lead farmers. So we have more than 70,000 extension agents in Ethiopia and also around 15,000 farmer training centers. So we really focus on those existing systems to deliver the harmonized fertilizer and agronomy solutions, that is LAFA. That is one scaling pathway. And the second one is the PPP. We have a lot of partners, scaling partners in Ethiopia. As I said, at this time, at different levels, we have 37 partners. So we work together. And these partners has two roles. The first one is they are really supporting the scaling out of the advisory solutions. But the most important is we identified around 10 innovation package components that affect the scaling process, So they are really discussing on those components, and they bring some solutions together to address those solutions. So this is the two scaling pathways so far that we are really working on that, and we will continue with these two dominant pathways. But at the moment, we are in a different stage. I think since the last 6 months, 7 months, we are also developing a scaling delivery strategy. We translate our effort into a strategy with the support from Gate Foundation. So we are trying to co-design the scaling delivery strategy for this LAFA advisory solutions. And this delivery strategy was co-designed by different partners at national level, including the government, the private, and the NGOs. I think around 17 experts are involved in writing this scaling delivery strategy. Of course, fortunately, Dr. John Law is here, who is backing the co-design process for this strategy. So in this strategy, I think it's very comprehensive. We have the core innovation, we have the demand aspect, we have the sustainability aspect, the benefit, the governance, everything is, I think, around 150 pages for now. It's a draft now, a drafted document is now. So this document is well aligned with the digital agriculture roadmap for Ethiopia 2032, and really well aligned with that. And it has an ambition to cover the major cereal crops in Ethiopia. For now, we have 4 crops: wheat, sorghum, and maize. But we have an intention to add additional crops. So we want to cover really the major crops that cover 70% of the cultivated land. And we want to follow the 4 pathways: the public, the PPP, the private, and the cooperative pathways. Next slide. So the lessons that we learned from all those processes so far is really our process is a very demand-led process because we are evolving for the last 10 years. Fortunately, Laun is also, Dr. Laun is here. He started that in ICRISAT also. So for the last 10 years, really, there is a lot of evolution of these digital solutions. So that is demand-led. And also, we are fortunate, the national system, we are now building a very good database, data ecosystem. That's really a good lesson for us. And there is a very good and trustful relationship between CG and the NARS. And of course, that shows, if you look at my slide, I mean, the last one, for 2025, we have an implementation plan for this LAFA. So for that, we bring all the partners to participate. So we are planning now to reach 150,000 farmers in collaboration with all these partners at national. So the next step is we want to really operationalize this strategy, and we want to really mobilize resource to have a big scaling program from 2026 to 2040. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gizau and Rusagate, for really showcasing the Ethiopian use case. A couple of things have been presented to us. First of all, is the data challenges that the team had to navigate through. They also talked about, building on initial solutions. So you start with a solution and you build on those as you proceed to integrate, for example, the aspect of resilient soils that we talked about. And I do see also very strong alignment with government and other partners, which is really good for us to be able to scale some of these solutions. Now, I want to bring the panel on board. This time, we will also sit in front for the one who is here, and those who are online can also show their cameras. I want to introduce Johan Hollen, who is a professor from McGill University and UM6P. Johan, you can show your video. Then we have Sevan Subramanian, who is the head of environment health, theme at the ICIPE. And then we have Christian Witt. You can also show your video. I think Anneke is not with us yet, so we will proceed with those three panelists. I'll also take my seat. I want to start with Johan. Are you there? Yeah, great. And good to see you and welcome. I want to start with you because applied research is really important for us, and partnership with organizations like the CGIAR is good for us to translate some of the science into practical tools and solutions. And I want you to talk a little bit on the role of science in developing the tools for improved nutrient application and soil health management. The question really is, from example, UM6P, academic and research experience, how can research on soil health and nutrient management be better integrated into decision-making and farmer-facing tools? And you can also use that opportunity to share some of the lessons, practical experiences that you would want us to learn from your experiences. Please go ahead, John.
Thank you so much, Moses. And I just wanted to also thank the presenters who gave us the Ethiopian case study, Dr. Gazal, Dr. Lucigid. It was really very inspiring. This is a perfect example of what we're aspiring to do. At UM6P, we have a very strong program of training and capacity of developing the youth, especially because we have those academic programs at the bachelor's level. We also train master's interns and the PhD students. This sort of development of the youth, and that is not only at UM6P for the Moroccan students, but we have a very ambitious strategy in which we are bringing a significant, almost 30% of our PhD students, for instance, have come from the whole of Africa. And among them, it's very well represented, almost an equal divide between the female students and the male students. And so when they come here, they're getting a lot of training in the academic way, but our training experience also tries to give students a couple of special opportunities that I really wanted to mention. And I think this is relating back to the development of applied research and applied tools, is that we have programs here, such as through our computing school, in which we give the trainees and the students an opportunity to develop, let's say, a code or an algorithm to describe some type of process that needs to be improved. And so, as we see these algorithms coming out in the decision support tools, there's always some adjustments and some improvements that can be made on them. And what better way to do it than to have some of these youngsters who, I mean, they seem very capable and have a lot of energy that they bring to, solving problems when it comes to digital. And another thing that we have here is we have a number of student clubs and student opportunities that are related to entrepreneurship. And so giving the young people this sort of spirit of empowering them with the ways to create small business and to understand how to make a business plan and how to do the management and so on is another way that we are trying to support the youth as they're coming up in this. But of course, in our core agriculture program, they get the full training, everything from the soil health to the machinery to the mechanization. They get experience going out and seeing research plots and where we have the nutrient management practices underway and the improved resilient agriculture practices and the climate smart agriculture. So this is also very important for us to showcase those new innovations coming up and to make them aware of all of the opportunities that there may be. Finally, at UM6P, we have a partnership with the CG system, and we have the wonderful program that sponsors a number of PhD students to come here and do their training and then go back to a CG station, various places across the continent, to do their field work, to do their research, and to work integrated and embedded into the CG centers and also with other partners. This is also possible. So the students go out and they have that hands-on experience. They work on the field. They work with the scientists. Some of their trials may be on farms. So they're connecting with the peoples and the communities that will be the receivers of the knowledge that they're generating. So these are some of the ways that we are trying to accomplish this, as well as through our continuing education programs in which we have capacity, and we've been running webinars, we've been running in-person trainings and other sorts of professional development courses to try to support the young professionals and even the more established professionals who say, I'd like to learn a new tool, I'd like to upgrade a little bit. So UM6P is very, very interested in all of these works going on, and sitting here as an institution that has a great deal of capacity for building up and empowering the young generation and the established folks who want a little professional development and upgrading as well. So I hope that addresses a little bit the question that you had just posed to me, and thanks an awful lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. I think that's very insightful. You are bringing to us the aspects of building capacity for the next generation of scientists, which is very good. We have always said that capacities like data science are actually lacking. And I think the program you have expressed connecting UM6P and the CGIAR is a very good platform for connecting the academia with actual field experiences to build and accelerate these solutions. I want to come to Christian. And Christian, you have wide experience in development of tools. You have experience in starting from Asia years ago. And the question I want to bring to you is, we have seen the solution from Ethiopia. And how can we accelerate the development of such solutions, move a bit more faster? We are not talking about Ethiopia, but the target here is 5 million farming households. How do you see such a program like the sustainable farming moving at accelerated pace towards more development of this type of practical decision support tools for farmers? You can respond in 3 or so minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Job. And thank you for having me on the program. Honestly, I wouldn't get too hung up on 5 million farmers, but rather focus on the opportunity that is presented to all of us, because the scaling will probably go far beyond 5 million once you have the right solution in place. So the focus needs to be on the solution. But as you said, I mean, if I look back where we started in the 1990s with decision support tools, we have seen accelerated and significant progress in this space, increasingly spatially resolved solutions with new data layers coming online. Ethiopia has just published 100-meter resolution soil property prediction product, which will allow further enhancement of the presented tool. And other products are available that go even down to 30 meters. But the customization really from region to, let's say, village or individual fields is not only in reach, it has happened, it's happening. And now we have a range of vehicles for the delivery of these decision support tools with the emergence of AI, large language models and chatbots, very fast moving field with new opportunities towards impactful advisory. And our ability has increased to cater to context, with farmers generating their solutions fit for purpose in real time, leading to greater agency over the developed solutions, which I think is extremely important. And we will likely see a fusion of generative AI and deterministic models with chatbots at the front end, like you have also explored and developed here. And each have their role to play. We see a lot of energy in the ecosystem around the building of a larger content corpus, and many actors involved that will require coordination, and it's an area of very strong interest to us. It will be important really also to invest in benchmarking so we can compare different approaches. For example, the quality of solutions farmers will develop based on the predictions, but also our ability to hyper-localize. And we will increasingly learn more about farmers' interests and their choices, with data coming back from the field to inform research priorities. So yes, very promising developments. I feel we are at the beginning, and many different groups working on this. And it will be important to really learn from each other. And what's possible today is probably outpaced by the next solution around the corner. And this is not going to be taking 10 years. It will go much faster. I think the CG has the opportunity really to contribute significantly with its talent and expertise and its partnerships and, of course, data and models. I do sense there's a good deal of urgency that comes with this opportunity, a need for agile programming, also letting go things faster as new solutions become available, which is always a little bit challenging. But we need to be able to add many more crops, as you mentioned, and geographies to our library to meet the multiple demands of farmers, and that will also require really new partnerships that we need to develop. So those are my 5 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. I think those are also very good points. I was to ask you another question, but I'll not ask it because you already said upfront about the 5 million. This is a small number. We should be able to reach much more, which is sort of providing the type of vision that you have for such a program, even within the time frame that we have. I think you also mentioned about the need for us to learn, especially on the new aspects, frontiers of AI, different groups working on these solutions and learning together, which is very good. And you finished by talking about the need for partnerships. And with that, I want to go into Dr. Subi. He told me that his short name is Subi, Dr. Zevan Zubri Manian. I want to ask you on a question of policy, because I think the policy integration is really key for us to push these solutions to many, many more farmers within even a very short time frame. So the question I want to ask you is, how can agricultural research institutions collaborate more effectively with policymakers and farmers to scale this type of evidence-based solutions? And anything else that you want to add in, I have 3 minutes for you, and then we end this session. Go ahead, Dr. Subi.
Thank you, Joe, for that question. I would like to take this opportunity also to thank the organizers of this event for this wonderful event. Usman and the team have done a great job for giving us this opportunity. And I would also like to apologize on behalf of my Director General who was supposed to be here, and I'm standing in on behalf of him. Yeah. Just to quickly say, ISIPI is an Kenyan organization started by a visionary Kenyan entomologist, Professor Thomas Risley Odhiambo, and we focus a lot on how we engage with insects for managing them, both for controlling them and also for utilizing them for beneficial purposes that they give to us as ecosystem services. Yeah. Coming to your question, I think, Joab, I look at it in three different strata. Farmers and policymakers are two key players in scaling impacts, but there's another layer of stakeholders who are critical, which we talked a lot about. Those are the scaling partners. So when we come to the farmers, I think normally farmers or people, we look at them as beneficiaries of our innovations, but we should start looking at them as investors into our innovations, because they make the decision to adopt our innovation. And in this regard, an investor, you need to convince them that the technology is for their needs. So at ISIPI, we focus a lot on understanding the needs of the farmers as we develop the technologies. We try to co-create technologies with the farmers. Just to give a short example of what is happening in Ethiopia, the average population of Ethiopia is currently around 19.5 years of age. So employment is the immediate need for all these youngsters, especially the youth and women. So we, with the support of MasterCard Foundation, have been running a major program where we are building employment around insect-based enterprises, especially apiculture and sericulture. You might want to ask me how this relates to the soil. I think we just don't build the apiculture sector, but we also want to build the landscapes around it. And landscapes are in Ethiopia are basically denuded, and it has to be built for supporting apiculture and also to build the soil health there. With regard to the co-creation of innovations, I think farmers, as much as we look at them as non-scientific people, they give us a lot of feedbacks. Like, for instance, when the fall armyworm came into Africa, the push pull technology that ISIPI has developed was the first technology that had a resilience against this pest. And this observation that the technology can have resilience against the pest was basically given to us from farmers in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And this led us to further investigate on the mechanisms and build the whole IPM system around it. We have worked a lot with the CG partners on this, and that's where also partnerships comes. The next aspect which we are also keen on is there are a lot of traditional knowledge that is remaining there, but in most occasions we consider this traditional knowledge is not so critical because they are not scientifically tested. So we take a keen look at what is the science behind this traditional practice before dismissing it or accepting it. And one good example is, again, with the fall armyworm. When it came into the continent, in Malawi, farmers were spraying fish soup for controlling fall armyworm. And that was a traditional practice. So most of us actually laughed, said, yes, the fish soup can be consumed by us. But when we did a scientific inquiry into it, the fish soup actually attracts the natural means and tries to control the fall armyworm. So there is a need to actually build on the traditional knowledge, into science into it, and mainstream it. The next aspect is the farmers do not look at individual aspects in their farm. So there is always an opportunity to contextualize on bundle these innovations when we promote them to build the farming systems, sustainable farming systems. And in this regard, I would like to just give you two examples of what we are currently doing with the IKEA Foundation funded program. We are looking at regenerative agriculture that links both the insect-based fast fertilizer sector with diversified maize cropping systems and how a circular economy can be created. So that's the farmers level. The second key tier is the scaling partners, where we work a lot with the National Agricultural Research System partners, private sector partners, especially for the biopesticide commercialization, and also private sector partners for promoting the insect-based farming options, and also the CG systems in a lot of the biocontrol work that we do across the continent. In this partnership, we want to have a robust feedback mechanism where the needs of the farmers are known on a timely basis, where the technology can be enhanced with time. And in this space, we are currently looking a lot on the digital technologies that can contribute to feedback mechanisms that can be very robust. Yeah. The last one, I would say, when you work in a country, you cannot work without an enabling policy. So many of the scaling efforts actually fail when there is no enabling policies. And I'll just give you two examples on this from my experience. When we started working on using insects into the feed sector and also for the grass fertilizer, the organic fertilizer, there is no policy in Africa to integrate insects into the feed sector, and any feed that has insects will be thrown away as contaminated. So we quickly engaged with the policymakers in the continent to create enabling policies that has developed standards for inclusion of the proteins in the feeds, and we are also now working on the policies around the organic grass fertilizers that you can get from insects. And this has actually changed the whole dynamics of the sector. And currently around 3,000 entrepreneurs are farming insects with a prospective business that they look at to integrate it into the feed sector.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think the point is the comparative advantage that we bring together as different institutions when we work together to push forward the agenda of sustainable farming. Allow us to stop there because we have another panel session coming, allow me to thank Christian Witt and Joan Wallen and Subi for participating in this forum, and also the other colleagues who presented, Gizau and Lusaget. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Christian, Joanne, please put your videos back on. Job, kindly come. Job, we'd like to take a picture, please. If you could just, a quick picture of the panelists. But since they're joining online, and we said we're integrating tech, please just stand in front, Subi. Just there, just a quick, so that we can also see them in the back. Sorry? Yes, absolutely. To the presenters as well, we just have 1 minute if you're here. Are you getting the people in the back? Okay. Just quickly, we have 10 seconds. 9, 8, there's something interesting coming. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please, round of applause, please.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a walk through fields where smallholder farmers with hopes so grand hold the future of food right there in their hands. But wait, let's talk about the life they know. The ground is tough. The rains are slow. Water is scarce. The crops are stressed. And the land, once rich, now is under duress. The yields are shaky, like a teetering tower. Everything's up and down like the stock exchange trend. Is it floods? Is it drought? When will it end? You wake up early, work till the day is done, but the crops look at you and say, not today, hun. The climate's unpredictable. It throws a curve. But these farmers keep their nerve. But wait, let's change the tune. We're not here to mourn, but to plant a vision. It's sustainable. It's smart. It's the new frontier, a world where tech meets the earth crystal clear. With data science, we're cracking the code, predicting the weather before it explodes. Algorithms helping us chart the course, knowing when to plant. Now that's a force. And soil science, oh, what a delight. We're giving microbes a chance to ignite. The ground's got power. And with care, we'll let it show. Let's talk plant science. We're on a roll. Tracking pests like digital patrol. Not guessing who's eating the leaves. We've got tech that keeps pests on their knees. Listen, we're planting the future, not with a shovel and a spade, We've got technology. No more guessing games. Cutting the footprint. That's the goal. More yield, less waste. Let's take control. Water, energy, we use with care. So tomorrow's farmer will still have air. But hold up, let's not forget the star. It's the farmer working hard, raising the bar. With hearts in the soil and hands full of hope. They are the ones who help us cope. So here's to the farmers, the dreamers, the workers. With sustainable farming, the world is brighter and greener. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on. We can do better than that. Lucy Wache, petition, please, whenever you go and you have all these conversations on tech, integration with sustainable farming, say you're not sitting in the panel until Lucy Wache and the violinist are in the room. Please, please, just another round of applause. So the energy is back in the room, properly back. Maybe no pressure. The energy now is at peak, back at peak. Please, round of applause for our phenomenal moderator to take us through the next session, please. We have 20 minutes.
Yeah, we need to keep the momentum. And I promise that immediately after our session, you'll see microbes dancing around with some of the people that we have seen here wearing overalls. So just hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to get to this next session, which is going to talk about capacity strengthening and scaling. So at this juncture, I would like to straight away invite our first presenter of this session, who is going to give us a case study from North Africa, Egypt. This is Dr. Vinay Nangia, who works with ICARDA, and is going to give us a case study on Egypt's GeoAgro app. I don't want to butcher it. And immediately after this presentation, we are going to call yet another exciting team of panelists. Thank you. You have 7 minutes.
It flies by very fast, so I won't take too long, and I'll straight away. This works, right? I don't have to tell you to move the slides. Or you will move it for me? It works, okay. So this is just like the previous presenter from Ethiopia. This is another use case from the last business cycle, just to give you a flavor of how do we go about approaching agronomy in a different way than business as usual. So you will see that how do you make a case, and then you find a problem, you try to solve a problem together. And I just want to walk you through the journey, the process that is followed for making this happen. And why do we do that? Like Christian was touching upon, and Bernard also touched upon, if you embrace digital tools, which are not specific to a context, to a geography, that are not embedded on a problem that is very localized, but you develop a solution that is more universal. It is contextualized in the sense that it has been tested and refined and validated in one context, but you have the confidence that now it can be taken elsewhere so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that's what we have been trying to do here, is trying to identify problems that can be solved in such a way you are developing tools that are universal in nature, and you can solve the same problem elsewhere, and you don't have to start from zero all over again. So what did we do here? It's just slow, it doesn't move. Can you go to the next slide, Paul? Okay, so ours is called the Egypt use case. And what do we have here? We have three things going on here. One is the tool itself, what did we go about doing it, the science behind the tool, and thirdly, the scaling part of it. Because if you're just trying to create a tool to solve an isolated problem, you don't go too far. But if you want to have an impact at scale, you need to have at the back of your mind, how are you going to take this tool to a larger audience so that it's taken up widely? So we have developed two tools here. One is an application which is called the GeoAgro Misr. Misr stands for Egypt in Arabic, so a farmer finds it relatable. So GeoAgro Misr is the app that we have developed in Arabic language for the farmers and the extension agents. And the other one is a web dashboard that is for the policymakers to have a ballpark, high-level overview of the agriculture sector and the health in their country. So the science involved involves conducting surveys, doing crop modeling, using AI, ML techniques, remote sensing. A lot of science goes behind this, but what the farmer receives is simple to understand, simple advisory that is actionable information and not a lot of technical jargon. A farmer doesn't know 50 kilometers per hour wind speed is too much or too little. He needs to know what does it mean for him. Can I apply pesticides today or not? So we try to simplify these things for him. And then because we are looking at scaling, we need to have strategic partnership and buy-in from the partners who are asking for this solution. There has to be somebody asking you that I have a problem for which you have to work towards. So you have to take them with you as solution partners, as a demand partner here. So this is how it looks like. I just don't want to take too much of your time, but just to give you a glimpse of an Arabic language, this is what a farmer or an extension agent sees. And the reason why we had to do that is that the Egyptian Ministry of Agriculture and the Extension Department came to us and said, all our advisories, all our extension material is published hard copies of material. Farmers are illiterate. These have not been updated for a while. And if a farmer needs specific advisory for my governorate for this particular year, if I were to grow wheat crop, what do I do? Which variety to plant? What are the stresses? What's the weather forecast like? How do I go about doing it? Can you create a digital tool so that we are closer to the farmer? We can talk to him, he can talk to us. So this tool was to make this information near real time available to the farmer. So what we did was we tried to come up with various different solutions. One of them is looking at different crops, cropping systems, and then farmer can get advisory, which is the ideal suitable variety for you under your soil condition. What is a typical fertilizer application you should be doing, and things of those kinds. Then we went about giving them advisories on pest and disease that the national government has been promoting. Next thing that we did was to give them a weather forecast for their particular location so that they can make informed decisions. We also developed a budget. Farmers can feed in their input cost, they can feed in their profits, and they can see where is all the inputs going and where is the profit coming from. So they can track all their expenditures, the inputs and the outputs. We also have the next one I want to show. The time flies very fast. This is showing the farmer the nutrient stress, the water stress, different kinds of stresses that his crop is seeing, and what can he do about it, when to irrigate, when to fertilize, which part of the field is getting waterlogged or having the heat stress that he can see. The other thing that we have done is a peer-to-peer chat between farmers. So all the subscriber farmer can talk to each other and co-learn solutions. There is also an announcement a feature where the government can announce if there is an agriculture fair happening, if there is a new subsidy being offered, if there is a disease outbreak that is predicted. So there's an announcement also. And then ask an expert is something where the farmer can take a picture, record an audio clip, or write a text message and click and say, I want to ask an entomologist, I can ask an irrigation specialist, or it's a general kind of a question, and that is sent to an expert on the other end who gives an advice to that specific farmer for a specific need. So there is a one-to-one and one-to-many conversations that the farmer can do. And this was one of the requirements from the Egyptian government. So what we have done because of this is what the farmer sees, but there's a lot of science going behind it. And this is the dashboard where the farmer is defined. What crop is he growing? What kind of governorate is he situated in? And then we try to track each of the farmers and each of the crops that are being grown. And this can keep getting updated with new crops, new varieties, new governorates, and so on. This is the dashboard that the policymakers, the decision makers see at a higher level. For each of the governorates, how much is the yield gap in which parcel and what could it be because of? So wherever the yield gap is high, that's where you want to invest your efforts. That's where you want to send your extension agents to investigate and solve the problem. If the yield gap is small, you need not worry about it. So this gives you a bird's eye view of what's happening at the national level. But this is the 7-step process that we have been following in all the use cases, where you define a problem, you define a partner, you define the partnerships, you co-design solution, you do a user experience trial, you do the validation of your technology, and all these things have been standardized in such a way that all the use cases have been following the same methodology. So the Ethiopia use case ours, we did similar user experience, we did the similar kind of validation. So this is a 7-step process that we have been doing in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture since 2021. And we are towards step 6 and 7 now. And I just want to switch gears and tell you where we are, the roadmap forward. These are just pictures of various kinds of validations with the farmers, with the extension agents, trying to show them the bundling of solutions, trying to see if it makes sense to them. Do they want the information presented in a different manner? Doing it with all kinds of stakeholders to capture their buy-in and make sure that it is according to their demand and not something that is too trivial for them to understand and follow. So slow. Can you move it for me? And these are the surveys. We conducted surveys and collected site-specific soil information, fertilizer information throughout the growing season for over 2,300 locations. Similarly, we did surveys with over 2,500 farmers to understand their experience when they were using this application. Were they happy? Were they satisfied with it? Was it helping them have agronomic gains? So 1 minute left. Something else happening on my shoulder. So these are different techniques that we use: machine learning, remote sensing, thermal imaging to improve the science. But this is the capacity building. We train farmers, extension agents who are our ambassadors now, propagating the message to others at the grassroots level. But I want to go here. This is the agronomic gain we have seen because of the application of this app. Because of the farmers using this, we saw that the farmers' yield went up, farmers' water productivity went up, their income went up, their irrigation energy requirements came down. So this is what the net benefit is. This is what matters to the bottom line and the top line of the farmer. And this doesn't have to happen in the isolation that we are only talking to scientists. We have to talk also to the extension agents, to the ministry. So this is where the behavioral change comes. This is where you institutionalize your tools so that it's not just a scientific endeavor. It is something that has led to impact at scale. So this is what is happening at present. In 2025, we are trying to move towards institutionalizing this tool. I want to skip this. But I want to come to the slide. So this is where we are, the way forward. So what we are trying to do here is that we have tested the tool, we have developed the tool, the partner who was a demand partner is happy with it. Now we want to cut the cord. We want to say the baby is born. So on April 17th, we will have a handover ceremony where we will take a back seat and say we will be in a technical backstopping role, and the ARC, the ministry, will take over. And when you click Ask an Expert, it will go to an extension agent sitting in the ministry. And they will be the one running the dashboard. They will be the one running on the day-to-day basis. It will be their tool managed by them. And we are going to only work towards launching a new version if it comes along. So this is where we are. We are trying to institutionalize it. And the ministry has developed a new organogram within the ministry. So they're trying to bring the extension department, the research departments together, which was not the case in the past. So this is a change within the ministry to embrace and acknowledge that digitalization of extension services is the way forward. And this project has been able to bring that to their attention. So this is a new institutional reform that could happen over the course of 3-year business cycle, that they have decided to modify the organogram within the ministry to embrace digital extension services. This was my last slide. Sorry, Ravi, I took too long, but the slides move very slow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to call upon our distinguished panelists for this session. Fadil Hashem, he's just the right person because he's coming from ARC Egypt, which was his last slide of the changes that have been made because of these agronomic solutions. The next one is Thomas Pilcher from GIZ. Please have a seat. I need one additional seat here. And Tirahun Amede from Agra. So I'm not going to summarize what has been said in our use case, but you can see that there's a lot of capacity strengthening. There's a lot of scaling that is actually being packaged within this agronomic solution. So my first question is to Fadil Hashem, ARC. As we have seen that you have actually been part of this use case. So my question to you, what lessons can be extracted from the Egyptian case that can accelerate the digital transformation of agricultural services? And what is the current position and representation of those interventions in the national policies? I know it's a mouthful, but I can repeat for you. Thank you.
Thank you, and the first I thank you, CGIAR and Carga to help agriculture sector. In Egypt, I answer the question. The current national agriculture policy adopted to support the digital transformation of agriculture service as a significant step to improve farmer agronomy gains and resilience, plus addition to the individual advisor tools. Agronomic is mentioned in the presentation. The Egypt case study of EIA also presents a high level of policy making tools and the dashboard to support data device to support data driving the policy maker, which is top government priority in the meeting. About the sense point of the GeoAgroMass application, about this strong point of GeoAgroMass expansion, the application is a diamond driving solution and those developing and evaluate using bottom-up approach to meet the farmer need and sustainability. We can talk about of the sustainability. The most improved lesson we learned is the partnership and sharing the effort and roles are very significant to ensure some digital transformation. Moreover, establish within the feedback channel with the farmer and the farmer is in the user is maintained step to ensure the transport quality control process of application performance, and of course the need to develop business model for the sustainable finance support of the application after handing it over the ARC. I just confirm that we need to continue because save the sustainability. We need a lot more for capacity building, and we started with my Dr. Vina mentioned with the 3 governorate. We can move a lot of governorate because make a sustainability and scale up the application in Egypt.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you have stressed the importance that this is a bottom-up approach. And I think we saw like the farmer is able to know what is their problem. They can be able to diagnose and ask an expert. But also the importance of partnership, and I can see that partnership in CADA, you are from the CGIAR. The last point is that of a business model to scale, and I think this is where we need to be speaking to our private sector. Thank you very much. Let me go that side first and ask Tilahun. So, Tilahun, you have heard about what CGIAR is doing about sustainable farming program. And AGRA is also doing sustainable farming program. Now, considering AGRA's commitment to sustainable farming, how do you envision the collaboration between your sustainable farming, CGIAR sustainable farming? Because I know that the fact that you have sustainable farming program, it means that you are committed already to it. So how do you see this collaboration leading to the scale of adoption of these sustainable farming practices? And you have heard that we should not aim at 5 million, we should aim at 20 million, 100 million. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rabi. In fact, I'm a very happy man today for two reasons. One, I was the initiator, one of the initiators of the Ethiopian use case studies that was presented. 3 years ago, after I left the CG, we initiated the Sustainable Farming Program. When you see really when I heard how you designed your sustainable farming, but in Agra, despite all the types of debates on the narratives of regenerative agriculture, agroecology, sustainable intensity, all sorts, we said at the end of the day, what matters is the outcome. So what do we want to get out of it? One, we would like to improve productivity, sustainable intensification. Two, we want to reduce food loss, really mainly post-harvest loss. Two, we'd like to make sure that we protect farmers from climate risks, really enhancing the resilience capacity of farmers. But then also we said all this has to be incurred into long-term resilience impacts, which is improving the natural resource base, improving the soilers, improving the landscapers, and improving efficiency, producing more per unit of input land and so on. That is the major pillar of AGRA's sustainable farming framework, which I think is aligning pretty well in this strategy. Within that, the 3 pillars we have with the sustainable farming, one is really about all these technologies and practices, and we identified 3 KPIs to help us monitor whether we are making change. One is yield gap. In fact, we said minimizing yield variability by 30%. The second indicator is resource use efficiency. The third indicator is reach, which is last mile delivery. I think probably in your case, you may have not considered the extension component, but us, as we are on the front line working directly with farmers, we cannot talk about your technologies unless we have the infrastructure on the ground to reach farmers. That's where probably we are adding up the last mile delivery component. So when I stayed in the CG 20 years before leaving CG and working in 4 centers here. So what is really the comparative advantage of us coming together? I think you are very strong on the technology, on the innovation, on the tool side of it, in terms of really helping us to understand the dynamics, capturing the variability, helping us to target innovations, what fits where. Us, we have the extension infrastructure in place. Your target is 500,000 farmers. We have 28 million farmers as a target in our program, in the program I'm leading, Sustainable Farming. So we'll be very, very happy to have you, add up that 500,000, maybe 1 million. And that, I think, has a space. We have already delivery models in place. One of the delivery models we have is really what we call private extension system, called village-based advisors. These are young people who are graduates, didn't have jobs, or retirees who have skills, or really elite farmers who can mobilize and create networks. So giving them the right content, training them, but also help them to create businesses, and make sure that they make money. At the same time, help farmers in terms of reach, quality control, education. The second model we have is what we call consortium. We mobilize governments, help governments to develop flagship programs. The wheat flagship program in Ethiopia that all of us are talking about was designed by AGRA. So we have multiple of those ones where we really bring in the private sector, the public sector, including the major actors in the market, the millers, the traders, all that together to bring about change. So probably my last point is that we have, I think, a very strong in the continent, a convening power. We bring major actors together regularly, work with governments very closely. We have forums, you may know the AGRF, African Food Systems Forum, which is bringing major actors, all of you including, together. So we can also play that role in terms of mobilizing partners, connecting with donors, and making sure that, we work together and make things happen on the ground.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And again, just to emphasize what you have mentioned, that we have the technologies, but you have the platform for reaching the last mile delivery, the village-based advisors, but also even the place where you have mentioned, the Africa Food Summit. That's where we meet the private sector, the policymakers. So I think there is really synergy for us to move together so that we can even reach the bigger numbers. Now, Thomas, I wanted you to be the last one because you have heard more coming from Africa. The last speaker is talking about Africa. Can you tell us, based on your experience from GIZ, what are the key enablers and barriers to scaling sustainable agricultural innovations? What advice can you give to all these use cases that are exciting? Now we are able to, we are saying we are ready to take them to scale. Over to you.
Thank you, Remy, and thank you to the team for inviting me to this panel. Yes, indeed, I am the last one. Also runs the danger that most of the points have been said already, and I feel that the story that I can tell from our work aligns pretty well with what we have heard here. Yet I want to emphasize some points that were our learnings. I've been leading the task force on scaling at the GIZ Fund International Agricultural Research, and now I manage integrated expert positions at the CGIAR at the GIZ People Fund. The task force on scaling was established back in 2017. That was an initiative to support the CGIAR in achieving their development objectives. At that time, scaling was not yet prioritized in the CGIAR. Scaling was a rare term to be used. And in response to the interest of the CGIAR centers, we created co-funded positions that were financed through the German government via GIZ and also with the centers in a co-financing agreement. And to fill these positions, we recruited people who can bring in a hands-on experience on partnerships with the public sector, partnerships with the private sector, and development cooperation. So setting up this team of integrated experts, they have been working on developing and implementing scaling strategies for specific innovations that are based on crop varieties, vegetable varieties, and other agricultural technologies. And these colleagues also played a role in providing an advisory role to the centers and their colleagues to sensitize for the importance of scaling, and also to support capacities in scaling in their immediate environment.
Last year, after 7 years of implementation, when the task force on scaling was phasing out, we organized a reflection meeting where we reflected what were our successes, what were our failures, where did we identify enablers and barriers to scaling. So one of our key learnings was that there is no silver bullet for scaling to create impact at scale. Each innovation, each context, and each scaling ambition is unique, and all of them require a tailored strategy and specific capacities to implement these strategies. For example, innovations like digital tools or apps, they hold a huge potential for commercialization, working with the private sector, embedding them into business models. But then there are other innovations that, for example, innovations like knowledge-intensive practices for soil fertility management, any sort of practice that builds on local knowledge, local resources, that might not fit into such business models. They on the other hand have a very strong potentials to be adopted or to be adapted by farmers when they're shared broadly via, for example, public advisory services. Other innovations, actually, most of them require a mix of different practical experiences, like business development, communication, advisory services, policy dialogue, advocacy, a large range of disciplines. And in that sense, we learned that scaling is not just a job that one scaling expert can do. It's a complex process that requires multiple capacities, that requires partnership with multiple stakeholders. So in that sense, it's not something that can be done by one person, but it requires quite different aspects of scaling and bringing these together. So in the team of our task force, we had quite diverse aspects that we have been working on, and we made a good experience in creating a space where we can have a dialogue on this, where we reflected on scaling theories, where we reflected on how can we measure our successes, how can we talk about our failures, and also how can we implement inclusive scaling strategies, responsible scaling, how can we bring this in and have this meta dialogue on that space, and that made the task force a task force more than individual capacities that are needed for scaling. So in short, what are the key enablers? This is context and innovation specific scaling strategies, firstly. Secondly, it's interdisciplinary approaches that range across the disciplines and are implemented through multi-stakeholder partnerships. And finally, taking a collective approach, a joint learning that goes across the team members. And yeah, I feel many of these learnings are now appearing when I attend this Science Week this week. So it's not news, but I feel it's worth emphasizing that. And also nice to see that the Sustainable Farming Program has already included many of these points. So I think we have made a very similar learning experience over this period. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm not going to summarize because you came back to summarize, but you have told us no silver bullets, partnership. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. I think you have heard for yourself that the agronomic solutions, they are ready to take off with such partnership, with such enthusiasm about what we have in the use cases, about what we have learned from the previous work of GIZ, but also we have an opportunity even to get this to a bigger forum. But more importantly, you have heard that these are down-to-earth, bottom-up approach, and that is the only way that we can take this to scale. So I think the area question was about 5 million. I have no doubt that we can triple that number. Thank you very much.
Just one last round of applause for Rebbe. Phenomenal work. Thanks. Yes. Please take that quick picture. So we promised you we'd be out of here at 6, give or take 1 minute. Please take the picture quickly. If you look around the room, you'll notice a few people are dressed differently. Not by design, just went to the same tailor. Thank you, Rebbe. Are we done? Okay. So at this particular point, we'd like to jump to the official launch. With every project, with every program, there are normally the people behind the scenes, the faces that we don't see, aside from the speakers and panelists, who are the ones leading the work, doing much of the work. BJ, build up the momentum. So please, I'd like to call at this stage our sustainable farming champions, led by the general. Please, BJ, farming champions. Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I just want to speak on behalf of the audience to say we are really happy. Some of you are better at programming and communication than dancing. But thank you very much for the work that's happening behind the scenes. We don't take that for granted. We know today is the beginning of something phenomenal. There's a lot of layers. We've talked about different case studies, different best practices, soil, sustainable farming, capability training, climate, you name it, the layers are endless. At this stage, for us to do the official launch, please allow us to call back up Oscar Ortiz, Interim Director for the Sustainable Farming Program. Please, round of applause. To be joined by Bernard Van Lauwe from the Excellency in Agronomy Initiative, please. Matete Bekunda, please join us from the Mixed Farming Systems Initiative. Matete, are you here? Yes. Jan Cruz from the Plant Health Initiative. Is that you? Yeah. Ah, multifaceted, love it. And then, of course, Sandra Villach has joined us as well. Sandra, please. Yes. So, for the people in the room, I don't know whether we've opened that yet. Is it? Not yet. Do we have a? Okay. So, for the people in the room and everyone online, we'd like to just count from 6. Not from 10, not from 5. Please don't open it yet. Wait. Barbara, not yet. Okay. So we go, wait. 6, Please, everyone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sustainable farming. So let's please take the pictures, of course, with the sustainable farming champions in the back as well. Please just make sure you can be seen in the pics. Do they have a paper? Okay. All right, we have just 1 minute. All right, even you will count you down in 3, 2. Sandra, if you could please just come to the mic and say something. We have just a minute. Yeah? To the people in the room, we have 2 minutes and then we're done. We can see all of you walking. Just 2 minutes, we'll be done.
Okay, so this picture is going to my father. I'll tell you why. I did my bachelor's degree in agronomy back in Brazil many years ago, and I was very young when I got into agronomy. I think I was 16 years old when I actually entered the college. And when I told my father that I was going to do agronomy, he was very disappointed. And he asked me the question, what you're going to do with agronomy? Are you going to plant potatoes? That's what that was his, he couldn't quite get his becoming a farmer, right? So this picture is going to go to him for sure. But this is I can tell you, this is the most fun group that I've seen so far. And I love it already. But I think, the challenge is there. I love that you guys are studying a new beginning for sustainable farming. We have a lot to do. We have to transform agriculture systems, and I know that you are up to the challenge. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Just like we said before, when I say we're about to go down a list of the people to give thanks to. So when we say them, please just one clap. That's it. The speakers and panelists, Sandra Milach, Oscar Ortiz, Ismahan in absentia, Bernard, the fantastic violinist Luvashi, the phenomenal spoken word artist, Wache, the sustainable farming champions, the general, the moderators Rebi Harawa and Job Kihar, the Egypt and Ethiopia case studies, particularly. Lastly, all of you in the room and those joining online, George Indirango, your host, and your daughter, the fantastic artist. So today is the beginning of something phenomenal. The work starts now. It's been ongoing, but the work officially starts now. To all of you who are here, please, and to the two of you who are here, when you go outside, there's a booth. You can take pictures, tag CGIAR Farming on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, please just feel free to get the word there as much as possible. It's 6:08. I owe you 8 minutes, but thank you so much for allowing us into your evening. Thank you. Thank you very much.